see me, is a very big Kalanchoe. Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Juanita if you're new, and welcome back if you're not. Thank you to everyone who subscribed, and I really appreciate you, and I hope that you've been enjoying the videos or something's been informative to you, and just thank you so much for subscribing. So today I wanted to talk about the Kalanchoe Blossfeldiana. It's one that doesn't get mentioned quite a lot, and it's got so many webs here. One that I don't see getting mentioned a lot, but this is a plant that I've had for quite a few years, and I first got it as a small sprig, and I'll insert a picture of what that looked like, and I had no idea what it was, but I knew it was some sort of succulent type. So fast forward a few years later, and it's grown. I don't even know how wide this is. I think it's almost about a meter wide, and yeah, it's just been doing amazingly. I love the blooms on this plant. It's a pink, like really a luminous pink. I'll try and draw you in closer so you can see some of the blooms that are still there. And it likes high light, but doesn't like to stay in direct sun for too long because it would bleach the leaves, and it can also tend to burn. Now, so what am I doing today? Today I'm going to cut her down because she's getting quite big and a bit cumbersome to carry, but that's not really too much of a problem. I do have a much bigger plant, but the stems are sort of falling over the pot, so much so that you can't actually see the pot because it goes around the pot and then back up again, so it's quite difficult to place it unless you have a narrow stand. So that's, again, even that's not a problem, but what I've noticed is, and I'll bring you in closer, there are a lot of like browning going on in between here, so like just random browning leaves, which is not too much of a problem because that's what happens to plants, but I know this plant doesn't normally brown unless maybe I've underwatered it, or I've left it in the sun for too long, and I haven't really done either of those things. So I think what I want to do is just take some of the cuttings, repot it into this other shallow pot, and just give the plant a bit more breathing room. I've been putting off doing this because she's so grown, and just other than getting yellowing brown leaves all the time, she's actually doing quite well. She flowered so much during the summer, and I really love her, and I love the crazy shape. It's just so beautiful, and when I look at her full-on face on like that, I feel bad about cutting it, but seriously, some of these leaves, and I'll bring you in closer, they don't have too much exposure to the light because they're bending downwards, and there's so many offshoots, and I can't believe this huge plant started from the small sprig that I took from an office cutting many years ago. So I'm hoping she'll survive. And the other thing that's been putting me off doing this is because it's getting later in the season. We're now in September, today's the 30th of September, so quite late to be cutting up plants, especially in the severe way that I'll be doing this. I'm going to try and relieve some of the ones that are hanging down, and hope for the best. I'll probably end up also repotting the remaining ones, just so I can check the soil and loosen the soil a bit. I think it's quite dense. And now I'm just realizing that I don't have enough perlite. This is going to be a lot of work. This is why I keep putting it off. So we can at least get to the cutting stage, and then I will also record the potting stage. Okay, let's bring you in and then we'll get to it. Okay, so just bringing you in closer. So in here is the cute, so this is just a remaining flower. It's bloomed so much, and I'm actually surprised this small one is still here. And then if we go further down, you can see the browning, random browning, yellowing leaves. And to me, that tells me there's something going on. Possibly in the soil level. Like, this is not regular. It's not normal for me to experience this with my plants. So all this browning on the tips. It does seem to be focused on this one particular branch though. So it could just be maybe this one's not getting enough water. But either way, I need to investigate what's going on, because if you go further in, you can see down there, browning tips, and there's roots all along the stem ready to be propagated, and this plant propagates super easily. So that's what the aim is. But I mean, it's so beautiful. Just look at that. And oh my gosh, when it's flowering nice and pink, they do have different colors, and I didn't know that this had pink flowers. In fact, I didn't even know it could flower. But it's such an amazing plant. If you cut it, it quickly grows. If you just cut one of these stems, it will quickly grow new shoots from that cut point. And I'll see if I can find, there was one big stem that I cut over the summer, and then it regrew almost instantly. So I cut this at the beginning of summer because the stalk was so heavy with the flower blooms that it was falling over and causing the plant to lean. So I cut it here, and look at these new stalks that grew, and they're substantial. And that's just in the space of a month. You can see the original stalk there. And as soon as I cut it, and not only that, it was growing one way, and then the new stalks started to grow upwards. It's just crazy. Anyway, I can go on forever, but I love this plant, and now that I'm looking at it, I don't actually know if I want to go ahead with it. But you know, maybe I'll have two plants. It's overflowing. You can hardly see the pot because it's in there, and you can see how they grow down and then back up. So now here you can see the one particular branch that had most of the brown tips, and that was a big clue because it was just one branch and not spread all over. And I'm just going to fast forward me taking cuttings and trying to relieve the area around the pot so the branches aren't hanging around the pot. So I'm just going through and just really clearing that off. One was already falling off. This was the main one that I cut the big flower off, and it just grew all these other shoots off it. You can see that, lots of browning, and this is very unusual. So it just needs malfunctioning, I think.
It turns out there was actually a small tiny worm eating the tips of these leaves. I was super shocked because I don't know where it came from, but that's why only like one branch had brown tipped leaves. It turns out something was actually chewing on it and then the leaves were dying. So yeah, I was so freaked out when I saw it because I didn't know where it came from. But yeah, so that's what that was in the end.
Well, since we're cutting, might as well go in. So this is everything that's gone. Feels a bit sad, but I trust that the other one will recover. So I'm going to get as much of these repotted as I can. Get rid of some of the bottom leaves and just clean it up. Get rid of the spent leaves. Okay, so just need a snip and bury it in the sun. Okay, so these are the plants finished. My big one's gone. I'm glad I did that though because I found a tiny, I don't know what it was, some sort of a worm-like thing, really tiny on one of the leaves. So I'm glad I redid this. It probably was eating something in there. So I'm glad I got rid of that. And I'm going to give one of these away. So I'll keep this one. And in regards to watering, I'm going to water this. I'm going to water this one now. Well, both of them I'm going to water now, but this one I won't touch for about a week and a half, and hopefully the roots will establish. That one I'll just water as usual because it's already established. It already has roots. So thank you so much for watching. Bye.